Welcome back to Thinking About Everything. If you've been here before, then you know what's going on. If you haven't, let me give you the rundown. Now, Thinking About Everything is a channel that has to do with thinking about everything. I pick a random video of the week and decide, hey, that's what I'm doing this week. I'm gonna upload it. I like makeup and cooking and hair, and so there'd be tutorials on all that along with crafts. And then there's also random subjects that I'm just going to blabber about in front of the camera. What are we talking about this week? We are talking about Marvin the Monkey. Actually, no, we're not, but I thought he was cute, so I had to put him in this. He's not quite done yet, but the finished version will be up on Instagram and Tumblr. The links are down below, so you can click and do your computing and go right onto it. Thinking About Everything is a fairly new channel, but yet I wanted to explain to you guys why at the end of every channel I have a song of the week. It's because I love finding new music. Love finding new music. Why do you love music so much? Well, let's think for a minute. Let's go back in time, maybe a few 10, 20 years almost, to when there were no smartphones, iPods, iPads, computers, etc. to be watching YouTube on. Nevertheless, downloading music on. There was no iTunes about 20 years ago. So what did people do? Well, they took these things. This is a radio. What? Why does that have to do with you loving music? Well, when I was little, the radio was kind of like a background noise for me to study to or listen to, so I didn't feel so lonely and, I don't know, just didn't feel out of place. So I studied to the radio all the time, and some of my favorite memories are cruising down the road with my dad to the radio, and also listening to Kix Brooks' Top 40 Countdown every Sunday, unless the Vikings would get in the way. And then that's why I hate the Vikings. But beside that, I mean, the radio is really cool. And I listen to the local stations, which is even cooler because then you get to know kind of some of the DJs, and they don't have as many of the local DJs anymore, especially at night or after midnight, but in the mornings, you get some pretty good information from the radio in the morning, and it's one of the best things I found to wake up to. So, why radio, and why? Well, I chose the radio this week because I want to introduce to you why I got my love of music. I mean, I listen to the radio so much, especially we got 3 stations. NPR, a pop station, and a country station. And I listen to the country station all the time because my dad was a huge country fan. So it's just kind of how it goes. I mean, I just began to love the radio and country music. And then I explored into other versions of music. And I love them as well. So I'm kind of all over the board when it comes to music. But the radio, I am totally for local stations. I mean, most of us nowadays still have radio in our vehicles. But if you're like me, you plug this in and you have all the music you want to listen to without any commercials. Or you listen to Sirius Radio where they have very limited commercials. But I mean, I still think local stations are one of the best. I mean, you get to learn what's going on in your area. I mean, sometimes there's new stores opening up and you're like the first to know. Plus, it's just something relaxing and you don't have to think about changing the channel, and it's completely random. So, the radio. Let's go back in history a little bit and give you some facts on it. It came around in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and the radios back then were huge. I mean huge. Especially even into the 1940s when FDR would do his fireside chats to update the USA on what was going on in World War II and during the Great Depression and all that jazz. I mean, radio's been a huge part of people forever, and radio's really cool, and it soon, you know, you got records, and then they're called albums as well, and then you would also get cassettes, and then eventually you get CDs like this one or this one, and eventually it became all internet. Radio. I mean, why is it so important? Well, there's still radio today. And I just want to talk about radio because it's something that I love and it gave me my love of music. But there's still radio today. It's just kind of in a different form. I mean, you can still have these and they still stream via radios, which is awesome, especially if the power goes out because it's all battery powered. Yeah, I will always have music as long as I have batteries and this thing keeps working. Now there's this thing. Guess what? It has radio on it. I'm going to list you guys some of my favorite radio apps that you can get. Now the first one is one of my most favorite radio apps, and that is Pandora. I absolutely love it. Limited commercials, which you know is great these days, along with whatever, pretty much, your favorite music. And all you really want playing. I mean, you can dislike songs and you can like songs, which gives you a station you totally love. And that's why I love Pandora, and it was one of the first ones I've used, so I highly recommend using Pandora. Now what else is there? Well, there's Spotify, which I think is really great on the computer, especially if you don't have a premium, where you can listen to full albums. See, these are now on Spotify, and you can listen to the whole thing and decide if you like it before you even buy it on iTunes. There's Slacker and Iheart Radio, which kind of just take in various internet radio stations, along with TuneIn Radio. I just discovered this not very long ago, and one of my local stations was actually on TuneIn Radio that I love to listen to, and I get to listen to it now through the internet on my phone, because my phone now has the app, and I think it's absolutely amazing. I mean, I recommend TuneIn Radio as well. Now, you know, music radio is all good and everything. I love music radio. I listen to it all the time. But what about talk radio? I mean, most people my age or younger don't listen to talk radio. They find it rather boring. I mean, I did too, but my sophomore year of high school, I started listening to NPR. NPR? National Public Radio. Why? Well, why did I listen to NPR? Well, I found it interesting. It kept me up with the news, and then it also had fun new music that I could find. It had songs like World Cafe, which they played Adele and Coldplay, but even more from everywhere you can possibly think of. And then they also had, well, where I live, they had the Rock Garden Tour, which was a cross between rock and roll music and gardening, which I thought was hilarious and loved the whole thing. It got me into talk radio because I wouldn't listen for the music. I started listening for their witty banter. What else, I guess, was on there was Car Talk. I mean, that was very informational and cool when I was in the mood to listen to it. I mean, talk radio is something you have to be in the mood to listen to, and I'm weird when I listen to talk radio. I like totally yell at it like, no, that's not right, or yes, I agree, that's right. Talk radio is also very interesting because you can learn something from it. You just gotta get used to listening to it. And the last one I recommend for your apps, it's only on Apple products, is the Blaze Radio. Now, it's a completely talk radio, but if you want your news and daily dish, as long as you have internet connection, you will have an epic radio station. Doc Thompson's on in the morning, and he makes me want to get up in the morning. His show is the reason I look forward to Monday. It's like, yes, it's morning on Monday, and I get to listen to the Doc Thompson show, even though I'm like, this the whole time, like, this is my hair, this is my eyes, I still got eyes. So, I hope you enjoyed this little tidbit about the radio and some awesome apps to go along with listening to your radio and finding new music. So before I forget to mention it, like I did a couple weeks ago, this week's song of the week is Heard It on the Radio by Reba McEntire. I hope you all enjoyed. See you next week with a whole new video. We're taking you back in time again, but it's still present day. And we're going to show you something rather cool. My best friend and I are heading out. Yeah. Anyway, peace and strawberries, guys. See you later.